What is up, everybody? Justin with the Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host and my lucky co-host / sidekick,
Billy Hughes. Hi, everybody.
And we are here with
Justice Rowland with JGR Fitness Consulting and Training.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on. Happy to have you on the show.
Definitely.
So, as we kind of talked about a little bit before we came on and did all the, video stuff, forget the turn on the record button, just obviously want to cover like who you are, what you do, where you're from, the who the F are you kind of a thing, right?
Background.
And background stuff. And so we'll kind of just go from there.
What kind of arm exercises are you doing?
Well, we'll start off with the real info here. Pull-ups. You want big arms, do pull-ups. But really, we'll start. So I'm Alaskan born and raised here in Anchorage.
Okay.
I'm 28 years old. I've kind of got into the fitness like a lot of personal trainers where I wasn't always the super athletic or the super, ripped person or big person. I was kind of an overweight kid, especially in middle school. I actually weigh the same weight that I do now that I did in 7th grade. So
Dang, dude.
it's a
talk about a glow up.
Yeah, and so there's like a it was important too. Sports. I started to get into that, and I actually eventually started to just work out because I wanted to be in the military. Never went down that road, but it was a good motivation for me. I was like, man, if I'm going to do this, I better get my butt into shape, be able to do some push-ups.
Yep.
And then from that, I kind of had the ability to, I went from, 7th grade, 200 pounds to getting into high school down to 130, then building back up to 160, doing the wrestling. And then after that, I kind of stopped doing sports as much and just really started to get into fitness, doing my own thing. Didn't jump into fitness or training right away. And you know how high schoolers are after high school. It's like, I don't know what I'm going to do or anything, hang out a little bit. After about a year, decided I was going to go to school. Went to UAA, got a occupational endorsement certification for fitness leadership, which kind of helped me just dive into what it would like to be coaching people, working with people through health and fitness. That was really great education. Gave me the confidence to then go to the Alaska Club and be like, hey, I want a job doing something.
Yeah.
And shout out to UAA for grooming young professionals there.
Yeah, what's really disappointing actually is they took away that program. Now I think they've melded it into something different, but I think of course the problem is if there's not people taking that class and utilizing it into something. And the fitness industry is kind of like that. It's pretty just go start telling people to do push-ups rather than an actual graduated kind of progression into the field. So with that education, I went and actually became a swim instructor first. So I didn't have the money to do the testing. It kind of takes money to do a lot of
Like a Michael Phelps sucker, huh?
Yeah, and so I got in, started teaching kids how to swim. Of course, when I mentioned earlier, I wanted to be in the military, I wanted to be a Navy SEAL. So I did all the underwater stuff, all the swimming. And
Tying knots and...
Oh, man, I was tying my hands
Drown yourself multiple times.
Yeah, doing all the stupid stuff.
Drown proofing, you tie your... hands behind your back and
your
bob.
feet.
Doing some bobs, yep.
I used to do that after cardio, actually. That's good exercise.
And from that, I got the attention of one of the bosses there, and he's like, hey, you're showing these random people how to swim. You want to get paid doing that. And so I, wasn't actually any certifications for that. So they just, I did a quick CPR class, and then I had a few students, and from there, worked swim lessons for a while. After about 2-3 years, started to get into back into the working outside in the gym. Was a fitness instructor, basically the guys that pick up the weights around the gym.
Yeah.
So, if someone asks hey, can you bench spot me, or what does this machine do? I'd be there to talk with them. And that really gave me the opportunity to build my, expertise and started to get a little bit more familiar with clients. And then after a while, it took a big confidence, probably about 3 years after I got out of that fitness leadership class, I finally kind of felt like I had the wherewithal to actually go and pursue a personal training job. For that personal training job, I did need a national accredited certification, so I went and did that, checked that off the list. And then, it's kind of been history from there. Just started working at the Alaska Club. Did a big span there. Of course, everybody has their own opinions on their last job, and I won't say anything too bad, but it was a great location for people to meet. And, everyone has their opinion on their gym and if they're doing the right thing or if they're getting treated right. But as far as in a place of employment and a place of gym, man, it was a great place to meet everybody and to for people to gather on that. So then, of course, fast forward to 2020, and the gyms all shut down. And that's kind of where my business started, really. And of course, I started in 2018 just to be legitimate, make sure I had a business license, make sure I was paying my dues. But in 2020 is really like, okay, what am I going to do here?
Right.
Am I going to wait for the gyms to open back up, or am I going to kind of keep moving forward, keep progressing my clients? And so I chose to, rather than kind of sit on my hands and wait until I was told, okay, come back to work, I started working with clients and training them online. And then a few of them, of course, with COVID, it was like, can we actually go over to their house? What's the rules there?
Right.
Once everything kind of got worked out, started going meeting people in house. And now what my business model is here for 2023 is in-home personal training, either in person or online.
Yeah.
So in the home, very away from the gyms, kind of simplifying it and offering a service in the fitness industry for somebody that doesn't fit into the puzzle piece of going to the gym or going to a cardio class or doing yoga or anything.
Yeah. It's amazing how much COVID changed people's business plans.
Right. That's what I was going to tap into. Right. Because it's like you had a whole virtual delivery. Are you still doing that?
Yep. So I have about half of my clientele all online. And I felt really lucky because I mentioned I had started my business in 2018. So I had 2 years of like one dude I'd see and figuring it out. And, I got to pay taxes. I owe a little bit. This is how you do that. In 2020, I already had a business account. I already had an established, 2 years. So as far as I never needed to take loans out or anything, but I already had, established business. So I just I never had to go to the bank and like wait in line or do any of that. I just did it and started scanning the checks and kind of adjusted things. But I knew, and it was kind of a funny story, rewind back to when we had our big earthquake. That kind of let me know because the gyms were shut down for a little bit. And some clients were like, man, my job is affected from this, so I have to reduce my sessions. Right. So I knew it's like, man, if something big happens, this is a luxury item for most people, a personal trainer. I need to make sure I have something in the background or I can, mitigate this. I can't just bank on this gym being my job. And that's when I started to like do personal investing and you just started to get outside of what the gym meant. And then, 2020 came around and I was a little bit more prepared to kind of start capitalizing on no one having a gym, no one having a routine. It's like, hey, I know what to do. Let me jump in and talk to you.
And everybody's routines changed. Like in one day. It's like
no one knew what their next day was going to look like for a little while.
100%. Yeah. Obviously, I think this is like episode 28?
Oh, nice.
29? Somewhere around there. Anyways, high 20s.
I love it. I'm super excited to be on. Thank you guys again.
So it's like COVID, obviously there was a bunch of negative impacts of COVID, right? And the pandemic. But I think there was also a lot of positive impacts of COVID. Part of it is just learning as a new entrepreneur that you have to have something outside of just a singular deal to have multiple streams of income into your business, right? And then also the ability to adapt quickly.
What's nice, like if you think about like entrepreneurs, right? It makes sense to take that position because maybe this one thing will fund the other thing that you do for fun until it can support itself. That makes a lot of sense in my mind. I know some people don't like that. Like, some people like to just go to work and go home. But in the instance that you're chasing your passions, I find that entrepreneurship really enables you to be able to do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've had opportunities and I think that I present myself well. So since then, since not having an official job, I've had opportunities to jump ship on my passion and go make a lot of money. And I've really sat down with those options and been like, is $20,000 more at the end of the year going to be better than like failing at what I'm doing now?
Right.
Quote unquote fail. You know what I mean? Like
What
stumbling
does that
over.
10-year outlook look like?
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun.
Out, does it grow? And then at my 10 years, I'm in a better position than I would have been had I started, that kind of deal.
I'm willing and able and know that it's going to take 10, 20 years of just constant doing this to actually begin to get my bearings. And it may be sooner than that, but I think that that's where, as far as the fitness industry goes, it seems like there's a lot of water down and there's a lot of this and that on TikTok, but there's very few that are willing to do the right thing for a very long time.
Right.
And that's where maybe we'll get into today, the fads in the fitness industry. And of course, I'd love to give info, but I'm the guy that gets down the rabbit hole, especially with fitness. So anytime I just get talking to this mic too much, cut me off. But
no, I mean, I think I think fitness, especially for a lot of people, is kind of like this. Okay, I saw this workout plan on here. I did like the P90X thing. I did the whatever home fitness thing. I've been to the gym, just can't get motivation. There's, and then of course there's, if you do anything online, there's 4 million ways to do exercises.
Right.
And it was funny because Billy and I totally had this conversation earlier. Like even with CrossFit and all this stuff is, yes, getting to the gym and doing the exercise is very important, but also how you do it is
Really
as
matters.
important,
Yes.
especially to prevent injury, right? Because we both come from backgrounds where you had to be in peak physical shape, right? Military and then public safety service, right? So fire and police are both very like strenuous, jobs, right? And so both had a very, they both expected you to work out and maintain nutrition, et cetera, because you have to perform.
And it's just part of the culture,
Right.
right?
It's part of the culture
That's
as well.
what we,
So-
as a soldier, right? Being an infantry guy, like you work out, you shoot, you eat, you work out, you shoot, you eat, and that's pretty much those 3 things, And anytime you're not doing those things, you're training and doing something hard, and then trying to sleep in between.
Or doing the long classes. I
Yeah, or
mentioned,
whatever. It's training. You're doing a lot of training. You're doing a lot of working out, and you're doing a lot of shooting. And it's really just those 3 things, and that's all you do to maintain readiness. And so it's ingrained in part of everything you do, right? And you look at all these statistical things, right? You're like, okay, what makes me injury prone? Okay, cardiovascular strength, that's a pretty big deal, right? Leg strength, right? I have to be able to move my own body weight, like those kind of things.
Right.
It becomes it's critical to the job.
Yeah, it's, that's where a lot of my desire to get into the military when I was younger was the training aspect. You watch the military channel, you see them beat up on the buds guys out there and carrying the canoes around or the Zeppelins around. It's like, man, I want to be tested like that. And so, of course, with coming to terms with myself, it's like, do I want the test of that, or do I actually want the product that you get, which is serving and then doing the 15-year commitment in that? So, coming to terms, it's like, okay, not going down that road. And but I still like the aspect of training, and so pushing myself, doing these classes and stuff. And I think that's where the separation comes from. Somebody that probably could utilize a personal trainer or a fitness class or something, and then somebody that probably doesn't need to talk to me.
Right.
So like for you guys, in your sense, it's like, okay, you have some experience. You kind of know that I know I need to get to the gym and push my comfort level. A lot of times people need a little coaxing for that. They need they need to like have a call, like, I'm here at the gym, where are you? And it's like, oh crap, I better get there. And really that's a big missing step in a lot of people is the accountability side of it.
Yes.
To pay the toll.
Yeah, and that's really I think the big step on like a non-gym person or non-fitness person becoming like I want to start my New Year's resolution is just willing to do the things that you're committing yourself to. And that goes down to a huge or into a more of an introspective level. Like, are you being honest with yourself? Are you committed to yourself on these things? So my job really devolves from like, okay, how many push-ups you want to do, to really working internally with that individual on the coaching side. And that's where coming into the home with my job, it's a lot easier to do that rather than, all right, come on to the gym and let's push you already out of the comfort zone. And then more, all of this.
It gives people anxiety.
Yeah,
right?
let's integrate your routine into your home. Let's integrate that into your life.
I mean, and for a lot of people, just getting to the gym is the hardest part.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up and getting somewhere is the hard. I
Yeah.
feel like if you dominate yourself and get yourself there, that's not for nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like that builds momentum. To me, that's a win, right? Everybody has to start with something hard or whatever, right? They all have those theories, but like there's some truth to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If like you wake up and you do something really hard, it seems like the rest of your day is kind of downhill.
Yeah.
But then you can counter. You told yourself you were going to do it. You showed up. You pushed it hard. You made it happen, right? That's a win.
And I think that's a win in all business. And that's where fitness, I think, goes with everybody. It's not just for a gym person or someone that's going to go to the Olympics. Like, I think that anybody in a sales position really everybody. And that's
Everybody needs fitness. Everybody has to have some level of exercise.
Specify.
Yeah,
It's self-care.
100%.
Yeah, it's been
whatever
hard for me
that
to
means
specify
to you.
because of that, right? It's like
Right.
everybody needs it. It's like I'm not the knee guy. It's like everybody needs everything.
Yeah.
So I found my specificity in I'm coming to you. I am going into your home, working with
Right.
certain individuals, preferably about 30 individuals. That's only as far as my schedule goes.
Right.
And we're working to do everything that you need at that time rather than you going to the gym and following into some class. It's like very specified, very integrated into their routine. And it kind of brings me to something I like to kind of talk about is the 4 components of value. And then this is where the fitness industry kind of goes wrong, where we've got the expertise and fitness and, personal trainers. We do a really good job getting on Instagram, getting on TikTok and talking about all the crazy studies we know and how we're applying them. And that boosts up our expertise. And then this other one is rapport. Right. And we do a really good job with that. We work very personally with clients. Right. We are in a part of their lives. Even if they come to the gym, we're very much a friend, a brother, a sister to our clients. The third one the fourth one is where it gets a little hectic for the fitness industry. It's like time. How long, so if we build value, how long is it going to take for you to get where you want to go? Well, it's all different for everybody in the fitness industry. Right. Too often we sell the 3-month, 30-pound, and it's not that simple. And then the idea of how easy is it going to be? Well, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be freaking hard because you have to, like you said, get up in the morning and go push yourself out of the boundaries. So the fitness industry, where it goes wrong is it sells on those last 2 points. We'll get it done super fast, and we'll do it super easy with this new thing or this diet or this.
Something really easy. I feel like you just wasted your time.
Yeah. Well, I think
that was really easy. Someone else could have done that.
Yeah, but that's where every business is trying to go to those 4 things. We're really good at what we do. We'll connect with you really well. We'll get it done quick, and you don't have to work very hard. But the fitness industry goes wrong on those last 2 points. And if I was to boast about myself, what my business model does is rather than trying to say you don't have to work very hard, well, I say you don't have to leave your house. I'll come to you. So that's shortening the length of time that's going to get there. And from my experience, we're not going to do the BS stuff. We're not going to do the things that are just fillers. We're going to move the needle, as I like to say, the things that are going to really impact the body. And that's going to get us to our goal faster. Yeah. So in a roundabout way, I bring more value in those 2 senses where my expertise in what I'm doing, we're going to get you there faster. And the fact that you don't have to leave your house, it's coming to you a little quicker. Yeah. But that's, as far as the fitness industry goes, beware when you hear people saying, we're going to do it super easy. It's a simple machine or a simple pill. And then, hey, we're going to get it done really fast. Really, if you get into it, you should be into it for your whole lifetime.
Yeah. And it's funny because we have a motto here we use on the team that I give to my agents, and that is, we provide the vehicle, you decide how fast you want to drive.
I like that.
And, and fitness is the exact same thing. Like, you could work out 30 minutes a day, 2 hours a day, twice a day for an hour each, right? Like 7 days a week, or you can do 3 days a week or whatever. Like, you pick the consistency and how often and how long you go to the gym. And the results are going to be from how often and how long you go to the gym, right?
Plus what you eat,
Well, and nutrition, right? So you can't be popping out of the gym and going and slamming down 3 Happy Meals from making D's, But and so it's it's part of that sales process, and obviously you're removing a barrier from getting to the gym, right? And so, and I think a lot, like Billy said, a lot of people have anxiety because here they are, new to the gym. People are always worried about people judging them.
It's intimidating, bro. You go in there and there's like all these really jacked.
I still get anxiety. I'll go and I'll have this mission to do something. And I like lifting heavy weights and doing a power lift routine. I am like, okay, time to go do this. And it's like, I still get anxiety. Well, what if I can't? What if I'm more sore than you?
Right.
And that's just something that I like the challenge, and it gets me pumped, and I get an adrenaline rush. I put my music in, and then I work on my, it's part of it. And that's why I'm a gym guy. I like going to the gym. Not everybody's Justice.
Would you say that?
Not everybody's Billy.
I'm older now, so I'm like the old guys in the room, just walking around
in the locker room, old guy. don't become one of those.
I'm just kidding. Walking around just butt naked, I'm just
honestly, we all should aspire to become so frequent at the gym that we're there when we're 50, just so comfortable. Like, again, a little weird. Maybe put a towel on, but we all should aspire to be that comfortable and also frequent in the
at
gym,
that age,
right?
Man,
I can admire the body confidence.
Yeah.
I don't think it's body confidence. I just think at a certain age, like,
you don't give a fuck.
The field in which you grow thy fucks is completely empty. Like, just your jar of fucks is gone. Right? Like,
send it.
You already got a wife. You already got like 3 kids. It's like,
just zero cares in the world, man. Like, whatever, man. Like, been around for 70 plus years. Like, what are these?
And that's
know?
where like
I'm 70, I like
that
the air
guy,
dryer.
he's going to need something different, right? And that's
Yeah.
where I always
Not pushing 400-pound deadlifts.
Yeah, it's always like something different. I know what moves my needle, and you know, if I get into it, it's going to be full body, bigger compound movements, right? I only have to really get into the gym about 3 days a week for about an hour. So I work out about 3 hours a week. So what I do to move my needle is going to be different than like the client I worked with this morning. I go up to her house. She actually lives out in Eagle River, and it's a perfect scenario. Her homeschool with her children and the way that the business is run, she doesn't have time to go all the way down the hill over to the local gym, do some workout, and then come on back up. But it was the perfect option for, and I've known her for a while. I've worked with her son in swim lessons and stuff. Actually, he was one of my first clients, so I know this family for 10 years. So,
Wow.
That's cool.
yeah, it's probably one of the other reasons why doing this. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. You know, I can make lifelong connections with people. But she's the perfect scenario where I go up to the house. We're working on a past knee pain. She's out trying to hike and do this. Now, if, you know, Billy is trying to get in and, you know, work on his squat, work on his back squat, and like we're trying to do that at his house, I can get so far with you. We can get a bar. We can mimic exercises. We can get up on the wall. We can make simple things harder. But at a certain time, if you want to squat 225 pounds, you might need 225 pounds. Now, if you have a gym, perfect. I'm going to work with you. But those individuals that need what they need can be achieved at home. That's what you need. You might not need the 440-pound deadlift. You might not need the big barbells. Now, for those people, part of my goal is to build the network of individuals that I trust in the community, so I can say, hey, go see Renee over here at the Natural Studio, and this is the gym atmosphere in which I would like you to be in. I'm not going to be able to serve that for you, but if you fall into this category, hey, go hang out with this guy, or hey, these guys out in Eagle River, you know, go hang out with them. So it's been fun this year to be able to specify on the home training side of things and not worry too much about, you know, every side of fitness, doing classes and other things like that.
It's probably a lot more like intimate, you know, like you build up quicker rapport because people's guards are down, right? Because they're far more comfortable in their home. Like it's their safe space, right? It's like it's the space where, like, you know, that's where they're most peaceful at, typically at home, right? So also removing that barrier is huge because I think that's the biggest hurdle is just getting to the gym.
Right. And honestly, in any product delivery, it's just reducing that barrier, right? So like even at McDonald's or wherever, I'm just using that example, or any like place where you go order at a register, there's going to be some counter anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? I know that's a weird thing, but it's real.
Oh, man.
That's why drive-through.
When I was a kid, it's like, Dad, can you order for me? I want the chicken sandwich.
Right.
I know, right?
You know, it's like if you go to the restaurant and have your kids order, do that kind of thing, build that social confidence.
100%.
And that's what really, if we get into it, fitness is just that slow drip of uncomfortability. And we can spend a lot of time in the comfort and learning a movement and getting good. But I talk about it in a sense from one of the guys I really like, Jordan Peterson. He came up with that comfort chaos. So if we have too much comfort, we're going to stay in comfort. If we have too much chaos, we're going to slip and twist an ankle.
You don't grow when you're comfortable.
It's a relationship and a dance of I'm going to go into a little bit of chaos and then retreat back into comfort and recover and then push that needle a little further. Because if I just go, in the summer of 2020 and 2021, I was out hiking and running around. I ended up getting an injury by the end of the 2 years just because of how much go, too much chaos. Now, if I was to just sit inside those last 2 years, too much comfort, and I'm not going to grow. So there's a fine line, and that's what I work with clients is, okay, we're going to push you a little today, and then sometimes my job is pulling them back. Like, hey, you don't need to do this 5-mile run. That's actually, we need to work on your gait before you go. You know, there's a lot of actually pulling back the reins on some of my clients. Slow down. Don't go so fast. Let's regress that exercise so you can do it better, learn the form, and then progress into something big.
Sustainable if you approach it that way.
Yeah.
So when you look at it like a lifelong process rather than a short-term gain, right? Like if you're looking for the 30 pounds in the 1 month, like that's not the same outlook as somebody that's like, hey, I'm 35. I'm going to live another 65 years. What does this maintenance look like for me?
Yeah.
Right. And then at that end of 65 years, I want to pick my grandkid up. That's a lot of what I'm working with now. Shoulder and neck.
That's a goal, right? I get up out of my own chair. I can get myself onto the toilet. Like that kind of stuff, right? It's important.
Ambulation, just the ability to continue movement is a huge thing when you're older.
And then what moves the needle for people on that? Well, yeah, I like doing deadlifts. It's probably one of my favorite movements. I'm pushing for a 500-pound deadlift. I'm at 440 right now. I was trying to get 500 by the end of the year, but being a smart person, hey, I got to do the right steps to get there. That's not everybody. If I try to take my powerlifting, and I'm doing powerlifting now, but If I try to take what I'm doing now for my clients, it just doesn't make sense. What most people, and from my little benchmarking I do on Instagram and stuff, most people just want to be healthy. And what that means for them, it really, I think, is to be able to take on whatever life has in store. If you slip and fall, you bump your butt, you don't have a broken hip. You just have a bruise. If your, God forbid, your family member passes, you have the mental and physical strength to carry on. That's really what people want, is to be able to face their worst moments with a good, car, a good vehicle. Now,
the thing is, like, I want to be able to spend time with my grandkids on skis.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. Like,
and that's where I like to get people thinking. I usually will. I don't work with a lot of people who are going for that short-term goal. Just what I offer, what I'm doing. It really is for those individuals who have already kind of bought into hey, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. I understand there's a cost and investment to this, and I understand the benefits of having someone come to my house and do this. Right. I don't know. Again, I'm not comparing myself to a doctor or anything, but these health type of individuals, they don't come to you. You have to go to their office. You have to sit in their office. You have to go to the gym, wait on your trainer. To have a very personalized routine come to you, we already know the benefits of it, but you're going to be more likely to repeat that if you are doing it at your home. If you can integrate it into your life, you don't have to separate and go to a gym, 30-minute drive, 30-minute back, changing. Not that, I do that, and I love it, and I imagine yourself and you guys end up doing that, but for some people, that just doesn't fit in the model of their life.
Right? Yeah. And you have to have something, when we're making these goals for ourselves, it has to be obtainable, right? So you have to be able to change your lifestyle. Because like if not, you see folks relapse, like you see people, they do really good and they lose a bunch of weight, get really fit, and then they kind of relapse into their old habits because they never really addressed that portion of it, right?
Yeah, and we're approaching that 3-month period from the new year, and that's statistically when we see everybody kind of drop off their routines. And, it's like, what can one of my burning desires is to fix the fitness industry, because I feel like a lot of people have kind of gotten wronged or the wrong information from it. So it's like, okay, what can we do to, again, I don't know how to fix the whole industry, but if I do this long enough, I think we can educate. And just like here today, it's like, there's an option. I don't have to go to a gym if that doesn't fit for me. I can work out at home. I never knew that. But too often do we hear it's like, you should work out, gym, or that's kind of the catch-all. Right. And I think that in any other industry, it has devolved into knowing exactly what the clientele need. Right. And for like with real estate or with loans, it's like, hey, no, you need to go talk to this guy, or this is the type of housing that, or a house that you should get. You are really serving the clientele, where the fitness industry, I don't feel like it's there yet. I feel like we know how to. We have all the knowledge. We can assess somebody and really dive into it. But what they get from the fitness industry isn't that. I think if they go far enough and they talk to the right individuals, they get it. Right. But face value, a lot of people aren't getting that.
It's a time exchange, though, right? Yeah. Because think about like folks that are professional athletes. They're getting very intensive, holistic, long-term care. Yeah. Right, and it's very
consistently,
and recovery is built into it.
All that stuff, and they're taking into account their physiology and like all these other things. Right, they're really taking it down to like a legitimate molecular level with these folks. Right, and then the time spent to do that.
That's their job.
And the money.
And that's 8 hours a day for them.
And the money to do that. And that's where, for me, it's like, hey, okay, if I can take an hour out of your workout routine by the 30-minute of travel, that saves you an hour in your day. So that's a big selling point. I actually talked to somebody, high-value individual recently, and telling him I can give him an hour back in his day, his eyes lit up. Because, he spends 12 hours or so, or, 10 here on calls and doing stuff, and then how much time does he actually get with his wife and kids and stuff like that? Yeah. So that hour can mean a lot for some people, and for other people, it's not it's not the whole world.
And the fitness industry, and I think the frustration too with people, and I think you've already kind of quasi mentioned this, is it's a little gimmicky. Yeah, like between supplements and different protein things and fat burning pills, and dude. And people know that,
gimmicks,
right?
They still buy it.
It's super gimmicky, right? And it's like just trying to make you spend money on stuff you don't actually need, programs you don't need, right?
It makes you feel good because you feel like you're doing something for yourself. Well, so I get it. It's like that quick.
It's the quick instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
And they're like, oh, if I take this protein powder and just work out 20 minutes a day, I'm going to be, jacked like Mr. Olympia.
They buy into that stuff, and so then they rationalize their position with that logic.
Right. But what sold them versus the results they get is obviously not great, right? Which is why so many things, I mean, if you go to GNC, I mean, how many of the products are still the same that they were there 10 years ago?
No,
Like almost none of them, right? And so people understand that there's a tons of like, let's gimmicky stuff, attachment. What do I actually need? Is this like another fad? Is this, so they don't trust the information.
Yep.
Like I don't trust the information.
Right. Because so much of it is suspect.
And I already have a pretty decent amount of training and knowledge, but like, and I'm still like, man, like this is another like gimmick.
Right.
This is another like workout program that's designed to just create sales. It's very short term, and I think, educating people on, okay, like, yes, like 90% of this is 100% bullshit. Don't follow this. This is what you really need. Like, this is science behind it.
Supplements and vitamins, like just eat food.
Yeah, like you don't even need any of that protein and shit.
I pull it back to like talking with clients, like what moves the needle, and it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. What we know from and a lot of times we have to go off of anecdotal evidence, not straight scientific evidence, because even the studies that they do, unless they do them the right way, it's for that group of people. It's for that age group that they're talking about. There's so many protein studies done, and they never really did them for the population group, of 60-year-olds, for females. And so then we got, actually it's really beneficial for older females to be increasing their protein for muscle density, all of this stuff. So you don't get that in this one study. But anecdotal evidence over thousands of years, hundreds of years, give you of people doing these things. And it's like, that moves the needle. And so certain things just don't have the test of time. And so we give them a hard time. And then they come out as, hey, maybe that did kind of work, or maybe keto or this and that. But what really moves the needle? And I said splitting hairs, because, I get into it. It's like, okay, I got to take my protein 20 minutes after I get done working out, and then my creatine, because my insulin level, it's all splitting hairs. If I were to take my protein in the beginning of the day, my creatine in the beginning, it's all splitting hairs. How much I'm actually, I like to think of the wattage or the ampli kind of meter, right? And when you do something, it's going to move that needle a little bit. We want to do the things that are going to elicit, and I actually stole this from a fitness guys, the Mind Pump podcast. He says all the time, we're going to try to do the most simple thing to elicit the most amount of change. And that really is going to help move the needle without doing a lot and saving time, right? And so I talked about it earlier. That's where, for myself, I like full body exercises rather than going through and doing maybe something called like a HIIT training or functional training or isolated bodybuilder style stuff. I'll do those bigger powerlifting moves where you just take something heavy and you pick it up and you're using a lot of muscles all at once.
Like pull-ups and deadlifts and back squats.
Yeah, if I was to say, like, my last workout would have been, so I do like a deadlift, and then I'll do like some type of a pressing. So I like, I'll break it down like this, actually.
Like a jerk or something like that?
We got like 5 different movement principles. And I kind of did you might have heard me talk about this already, but we've got like knee bending. So that'd be like squatting. We've got pushing, like push-ups, pushing, benching, pulling. And then we've got hinging, and then there's a couple more aspects of things. But really, if you do those 4 or 5, and then that's where a personal trainer or knowledge comes in. Like, I can overhead press, bench press, I can do dumbbells, a lot of different variables in there. But I try to stick with pushing something, pulling something, using my legs, may it be hinging or squatting. And that's like 3 things. So I usually check off those 3 boxes. And I try to make those 3 boxes as big and impactful as I can. Of course, I like to doing bicep curls and some of those other things. But if I can do those 3 and I can do them consistently, I'm going to move the needle without spending a lot of energy and time. And that's kind of my personal secret. I can do 3 hours a week, 2 to 3 hours a week. I do the big things that are going to move the needle, and that's given me a lot of benefit. I used to be the guy that 6 days a week, I'll have the body part split and all of this and that. Compared to what I do now with around 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 if I'm in the gym more often, doing those bigger lifts, I've found way more benefits, way more strength gain. I'm growing my shoulders and, these things that guys, that when they go into the gym, they want. You actually do that by practicing movements and doing the things you're not good at. That's actually the first thing I started doing. It's like, man, I really suck at back squats. Guess it's time to put a bar on my back and start doing back squats and getting better at these things. So that's where, like you said earlier, man, this sucks, this is challenging. That's probably exactly the thing you need to do. Reduce it down, find a manageable way to go about it.
It makes sense, man. I mean, at the end of the day, like, generalized calisthenics and body mechanics is always going to be the best thing for you.
The yogi dude who kind of just does a little bit every day. And, these individuals that we see and they're like, man, that guy seems really healthy. He's probably just not barely doing anything, but he's doing the least amount to move the needle the biggest that he can. And so if everybody kind of adopts that, we're going to, get rid of a lot of the fluff, a lot of the cringe things in the fitness industry, because we know it's like that doesn't seem like it moves the needle very much. It looks cool and it might feel cool and have cool packaging. It might taste good, all these different things in the fitness industry, but it's like what moves the needle?
Peanut butter, strawberry shortcake.
Like how much better off would somebody be if they just spent 30 minutes every day or whatever, just consistently
with a little thing, rather than I got to go do this crazy, I got to go really kill myself at this cardio class or something. It's like, well, if you took that same energy, let's say it's 10, we divided it up in 1 every day, you're going to be probably a lot happier and you're going to be continually doing something. And the studies even show if you take that same, idea and you do that with exercise, rather than one 60-minute workout, I'll do a few 30-minute or 15-minute workouts. People are faring way better when they do the fewer amount of workouts. And yeah, sure, the big power lifter guy and the bodybuilder, they might need something different, but I can almost guarantee no one's there. I'm not that guy. I'm not him.
As far as, so here's the question is, since, obviously you've been doing this for a little while, what is like the one thing that you wish people would do more of with fitness?
That's a good one. Well, if I was to keep it pretty simple, it was lift weights. A lot of, and I think it's becoming more normal. Male, female, old, young, lift weights. Resistance training. Now, lifting weights could be your body weight to a certain degree. You're going to master that and eventually need to pick up something. But external load has shown to be very beneficial for longevity. And when we do the single tests, maybe like grip strength, and that's one test to show longevity, and that's kind of something they did. Or like the stand up off the ground test. This is a single test that we can do. It has to do with strength, how strong you are. Now, of course, there's so many different things that go into your longevity, but if we were to do one thing that will move the needle, lifting weights consistently for a lifetime, you're going to have a lot of the other things that you want, weight loss, health, pain reduction. That's going to transpire in the seeking of gaining strength and lifting weights. Now, what does that look like for each individual? It's not like you think. It's not powerlifting. It's not maxing out, but taking something that's a little heavy to where you kind of fail in a good with good form. You kind of feel like, man, this is getting hard. I don't know if I can do it again. Around 8 to 10 repetitions. So you're not doing something super light for 20, and you don't have to do something super heavy for like 5, but that 8 to 10 mark, and if you even just stick with the simple squat, push up, pull up, for the rest of your life, you're going to move that needle pretty far. And that's where the fitness industry can't make money off of simple, boring workout routines. You got to spice it up. You got to create the new machine. You got to do something. But that's where I think that people are kind of getting back to the basics with stuff. And they're real, like we were talking just before the podcast about the markets and stuff. People are smarter this time. People know that sometimes when somebody comes out with an article and says something, it's not actually right. It's not actually true. But they feel like, man, when I do this, I feel this.
Well, I think over the last few years, there's been so much misinformation put out, right? That people thought was right, and now it's all coming out that a lot of it was a lot of misinformation. And so the public trust in stuff online, especially studies and scientific data.
I'm glad there's some skepticism now. Honestly.
And, you still going to have the people that will blindly follow whatever is being told to them, right? But I think the average person is awakening to the idea of like, maybe not everything I'm reading online or that the government is telling me is probably factual or whatever else, right? The fitness industry or this potentially non-peer-reviewed study that some company created to sell their product, and so I think it does happen a lot. It happens in the healthcare industry. It happens in the fitness industry. I mean, any industry in and of itself could always create their own study, load it with whatever they want to be to load their side, right? And be like, oh my God, look at the study we did. Like, here we go.
And there's so many. I know I came on today going, don't be the info guy quoting a bunch of stuff. But, there's an article that came out recently. And
sir.
Yeah, we need a Jamie. But it was is basically saying like, hey, these are the foods that are really good and these are the foods that aren't really good.
Right.
And like eggs and things like that were way below. And the big thing that people noticed is Lucky Charms was better than eggs. And it noted eggs fried in butter. And so when we look at that study that was put out and whatever, and then of course we got this egg thing happening, but this is actually put out a while back before all of that. And even then with the, like it was saying, like red meat steak, way worse than Frosted Flakes. And you look at who put this study on, and I'm kind of being speculative, but I would not bat an eye if Kellogg put the
Mills.
study. Yeah, whoever. But that's when earlier when I said studies are good, and they give us kind of a reference with scientific data, those little points on the scale and stuff. But anecdotal evidence, when you've got someone saying I've been doing this, and that's where they look at regions of people and stuff in different countries, and like they've been doing this for like hundreds of years. Yeah. Why don't they have heart disease? And it's like, because your study is wrong. The way you're looking at this is wrong. But for me, being the trainer, I try to avoid getting too far down that because I begin to talk to I begin to talk to other professionals in my industry. The people I want to talk to could give a rat's ass about some of the nuances of how much protein and when and this and that. It's like what's going to move the needle for them. And that's where it's like, okay, that study on keto or this and that, like, sure, there's some benefits, and this is kind of what they found, but what feels for you? How does that food feel for you?
Because ultimately, there's no benefit to something you can't execute.
Correct.
So,
or that's easy to execute. Right. So like, and dude, it
has to be
the average Joe doesn't want to go learn all the micros and macros of nutrition.
Well, and then too,
they want to be told what.
It's like, hey, just avoid these things. Eat more of this, right?
If you know you're prone to eating all this stuff and then you try to remove it out of your diet, at some point you're going to circle back. Yeah. So it has to become part of your life.
Yeah, if we were to get into diet a little more and I was to give my 2 cents, it's like simple. Keep it simple because there's so much where you're going to get into your life and go, man, I can't do dairy anymore. And for me to go do dairy and get whey protein and then you're like, oh, it makes my tummy upset. It's like, well, okay, don't do that.
Like so that's
as simple as it is. It's like, how do you like that? Is it good? Does it make you feel good? It's like, do it, eat it. So, I mean, really, when I start working with a client and their goal is around weight loss and stuff, first thing I actually do, and this is maybe not an exact terminology, but it's something along the lines of like a reverse diet. You actually get them to eat more. So, and it's weird because if you start reducing calories right away, and this is the problem with the fitness industry is, okay, we're going to reduce your calories 500, and if you do that over this, you're going to lose a pound by the end of it. The problem is if you're at, let's say, 14, you're normally at 2,000, you get down to 1,500, 500 calories a week, all this math and stuff like that. As soon as you stop with that very minimalist style of eating, you will put the calories right back on. And that's how everybody goes. I'm going to do a diet, and it's unsustainable. I hate this diet. I can't wait till it's over, and as soon as it's over, well, you didn't change anything but the calorie amount. As soon as that calorie amount goes back, you're going to gain all the weight back. So what I do with my clients, especially if they're around nutrition or they want something with weight loss, is I usually try to up their protein. So we're going to start exercising. We're going to be doing resistance-based exercises, like I said, moving that needle as much as we can. Let's support new muscle growth. And I usually coach the individual also mentally. You might see the scale move up. I know you paid me some money, a good amount of money, almost a car payment, to get your weight to go down. But I want to explain this to you in the realest way possible. And this is the conversation real personal trainers in gyms and stuff don't have, because it's going to lose them the sale. Hey, you're going to see this little bit of up. We're going to go through. You're going to start feeling like you got muscle tone. You're going to start feeling maybe even where you don't like the scale going up. But this is going to give us now, when we do reduce your calories down, you reduce your calories, right? We get you to start eating more protein. You start getting to a point where you're actually hungry. Even with eating all this food, you're actually hungry. It means you're building muscles. Your metabolism's doing its right thing. At that point, then it's like, okay, we can take 200 calories away. You're not at a huge deficit. If we move from our 2,000, we add 200 calories on. You start putting on a little bit of muscle. We take those 200 calories away. Now you're at a deficit. And our body can manage that deficit a lot better. At 2,000 is way better than 1,500. And you're still at a deficit. And that's really the magic that comes in. I know a lot of times the fitness industry is like, no, it's not just thermogenics and just burning calories. But if we keep it simple for people, it really is trying to get under what you put in on a week scale, not just one day, but at the end of the week, are you below what you put in? Because the weekends are a bitch. That's when we eat the most calories. So I start working with them probably about 3 months in that we do any reducing of calories. Really, it's about ramping up, getting the body ready, and then we apply the change in the diet. And they're ready for it. They understand what they're doing. They're not going from probably a bad diet to a worse diet. They're getting a really good diet, and then they're coming down from that.
Yeah.
And then sorry to interrupt, but really increasing protein is going to be a simple way to do that, because you're going to fill yourself up with the something that's going to move the needle, right? We're trying to build muscle tissue on our body. So not just protein drinks, but if you were to look at someone's plate and take more chicken, put more chicken on your plate, more of this, and it's going to kick out some of the easily eatable, digestible carbohydrates and things like that.
You're just, well, and it's funny because it's, I remember in like a nutrition class that they showed a pound of fat versus a pound of muscle, and it's like 10 times the size, right? So, I mean, that's, even if you're not losing weight, you're exchanging.
Yeah.
You're building, that's what's happening is body composition is changing. Even though the scale is not moving, you're gaining muscle, but you're losing fat cells.
Yeah, and I'll explain that to people, right? It's like, how do you feel? Well, I'm the same weight, but I feel really
more
strong.
Energy.
Yeah.
I'm getting, like my shoulders are getting better.
People get too tied up in the weight thing.
Well, I like the way, for gals, I like the way I look now. I am the same weight I was, but I actually like the way I'm shaping my body.
Because you're exchanging.
Yep.
Look good, feel good.
Exactly.
Right? Don't worry about that number. Just get off that scale, save yourself the trouble.
And it's good to use a scale for a certain metric, but it's one metric. If you with anything you guys do, if you're looking at one metric, you guys are gonna do the wrong thing, because
it might lead you down the wrong roads.
It's exactly. So that's where you have to have, okay, if I'm gonna use weight, do you have your body fat percentage with that? Do you have all of these other metrics with that? And then you can start, I'm gaining weight, but I'm losing body fat percentage. What does that mean? We're gaining muscle. So more metrics, more data, and that's the personal trainer side of it. We can do some of that, but like you're saying, let's keep it simple. Let's just, how do you feel? Are you feeling better? We're doing the right thing. Feeling worse? Let's change it up.
Yep. No, I agree. It's funny because the fitness industry, man, it's a love-hate relationship, just because, I mean, there's so much misinformation and so much bullshit.
Yeah.
Freaking
I'm in it. I'm in the industry, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I could only imagine how frustrating it is sometimes, just how much crap comes out, Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's what is like served on the platter to the people, where if you've ever had a trainer or if you've ever been in the gym community, that it's mostly good. That it's not a bunch of, fat shaming or bodybuilder dudes grunting 100%. In the corner. It's, a good community of people, and the employees and the trainers and the young, even I'm given sometimes the young trainers. I was one of them. I literally learned I was not like this when I started. Hey, let's do a bunch of cardio to try to burn off all your calories. Let's, not use machines because machines aren't functional. Let's be the functional guy. And so I know this because I did it for 4 or 5 years under the club and stuff. And I know the cardio classes. I've seen people go to them routinely, almost twice a day sometimes, do them almost every single time, and they never lost any weight. They were told, if you sign up to this class, you will lose weight. And they did everything that they were told to do, and they never lost any weight. And that's what I'm trying to fix, is that what's presented to the individual is not, and we know it. Yeah. We know it in the fitness industry from
There's
all
more
the studies.
to it, too, than just that.
Exactly. But the problem is that they're being sold on that. That's where people they're
being sold on.
They're like, hey, if you get this membership and then you pay for this, you will lose weight. It's like, nah, there's more to it. Yep. And what you're doing here is actually going to be more for your cardiovascular endurance system. And sure, that might support weight loss, but you're kind of looking at the different road. You want to go down that road, and we're telling you to go over here. That's a clear misdirection. And in any other fitness, any other industry that is, you're going to be, there's like laws against that, right? And you can't be open and knowingly, right? That for you guys, if you were knowingly like, go over here, even though I know it's over here, you probably get in trouble. At least get your hand slapped. In the fitness industry, nothing. I'm not calling for regulation, but we have to do better. We have to do better. That's for sure. I
mean, at the end of the day, it's the consumer has to do their own research. You know what I mean? And if they want to go into it blindly and just trust a sales flyer or whatever's on a bottle or on the packaging marketing material, right? Then that's up to them, right? And if they don't want to do any research behind it and just believe whatever's on the advert, I mean, at the end of the day, like they have to have some accountability in what they're consuming and what they're buying, right? Now, could there be better on education components attached to that to make it more of a lifelong relationship versus a quick sale? Because what happens is quick sale happens, they don't get the results, And what will they never be?
They're burned on the relationship.
Yeah,
too.
the relationship's gone, right?
Yeah.
The long-term relationship is now gone based on the quick sale. But businesses know, right? And I mean, it's obvious, is that customer retention is a majority of your cost.
Well, it's cheaper to sell somebody you've already sold something to than it
Or
is
not
to
even
find
customer
someone
retention.
new.
New customer acquisition is the highest
Expense.
for you.
Yep.
It's not you could spend more, right? Or your customer, if you did more to have customer retention than you did to spend on and get new clients, you would be more profitable.
Case point, how much does a YLOPO lead cost?
Oh man, like anywhere between $4 to $12, $4 to $25, depending on where we get a lead source from, right? Now,
How much does a birthday card cost?
Oh man, yeah. Or even just a letter on
Yeah.
New Year's or something like that, right?
$1.50, or we even have like a remarketing budget too, and it's 10 cents per person to retain people that we've already bought, right? So it's the acquisition phase is far more than it is the retention phase, right? But the problem is, as you see, is short sales, zero retention.
Yep.
And like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, but I would argue that that's poor salesmanship training.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is, I mean, I see it a lot in the fitness industry. When I was a personal trainer and stuff, a lot of personal trainers go on to be in other industries and sales and stuff. It really is a great ground floor to being a salesman. And I know you guys are kind
And
of
car
on the
sales.
hunt too, is like, we're kind of talking bad about them, but some of the best sales guys probably started, and they're going to have a great book of business on the gym floor.
Right.
And you're going to talk, then they're going to have a great book of business. Because
Right.
like what I have is a bunch of business owners and people who are, in
Buying
that
luxury products.
real,
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I think that there was not a lot of training. There's a lot of self-discipline and stuff when you get in there. And there's not, and this is, I know from one aspect in one gym, but I know in the broad spectrum of things, there's not a lot of people going to the younger individuals like, don't say this to get a sale. It's like, man, take Granny out on the bench press, do what you can. It's that, I mean, at the same time, we all closers get coffee. And I remember that was something that used to be said around the office when I did a shorter stint as a fitness consultant, where I actually the job is basically fitness sales. So, and when I got in there, it was hard for me to do the way they wanted to do it. I did it the way I do it now, which is education. And if it's a right fit, I'll hook you up with the right trainer. Sometimes people just weren't the right, and so that didn't work out for me because it was unethical sales kind of routine with it. But really, when you get into that, there is probably a good pool of people there that are self-disciplined, that are good salesmen. And then, of course, that, like I was saying, I got offers to do some other things, and I kind of considered it in sales positions and stuff, but this is the passion side of it. But yeah, there's a lot of the sales and selling yourself when you're a personal trainer.
Yeah. I mean, life in general is always going to be sales, right? Like you as an individual should, as you go through life, are trying to sell something, right? I mean, if it's selling yourself, selling a relationship, selling whatever it could potentially be, right? Like that's just life in general, right? You're always in some type of process of selling value or selling, whatever it could potentially be, right? But and we see this in real estate too. Is a lot of people are transactional. They're not They're not into building the relationship, into building a lifelong, commitment and relationship with people.
And it's a disservice to
They
their
see
industry.
a dollar sign, and that's all they see. They don't see the human behind the dollar sign. They don't figure out the why. They don't figure out the need. And without doing that, and they wonder why no one comes back to use them.
Right.
And it's like, well, you treated them like a paycheck and not the person that they actually are.
Correct.
Right. And where we teach, and I'm sure if more fitness people did this, is find out them as an individual, what they actually need, because it's really hard to sell someone on something without ever understanding what they need in the first place, right?
You're just giving them what you want,
what you think they need,
or
right?
what you need personally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and so we coach this with our agents, and it's like it's pretty hard to hear someone talk about what they need when you're the only one talking.
And I know for myself in the fitness industry, it's led, right? I'm the guy with all the info, and coming into sometimes in the corporate world, that's actually where I've had to slap my hand a few times. Is like, okay, I'm not the expert in the room anymore. Sure, when someone comes to me and they're wanting to know about the squat and stuff, let me give you info. I'm going to carry you through the session. We're going to fill the gaps with some talking and some, hey, here's a joke here or there kind of stuff. And that's where it does change when, once the intake process is done with the clientele, it's like you are now leading them through the territory, guiding them through the rainforest in which they're not used to.
Right.
In other places, that's where the skill of shutting up and listening really is key. And that's actually something I've been needing to work on lately. It's a good opportunity to come on the podcast with you guys.
And we also coach too is don't ask yes or no questions. Ask inquisitive questions that elicit an actual response. Like for someone to actually describe and tell you their story, right? If you ask a yes or no question, what are you going to get?
Very simple answer.
Hey, Justin, are you pre-qualified?
Yes.
Or, hey, Justin, do you have anybody you might know, perhaps a friend or family member that you could bounce these questions off of when it comes time for lending?
Right. So that's more of a, that generates more of a response, right?
Yeah.
Or more of a dialogue based upon what we kind of want to get to, right?
Right. And you guys are humans talking to another human. And if you start talking like a computer, they're going to, just like we do with the computers when they jump on the phone with us, it's like, oh my God, who's this thing? I want to get through. So they're going to do that same thing when it comes to any intake. And I think that's where our jobs are really similar, is that we work with people when we're the experts, when in an industry where people don't have a lot of
guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
Mentorship is a huge gap, not just in our industry, but I think in our culture as a whole.
Yes.
Man, yeah.
Mentorship
Seriously.
or like what we call it on our team is trusted advisor role. Right. So like think of financial planners or an attorney or someone like that, right? Like typically when you hire a financial planner, you have an attorney that you work with closely, like that's your go-to person.
Right.
Unfortunately, in the real estate world, and and it sounds like in the fitness industry, people are like, because people are so transactional, right? No one has really set them apart as being like the trusted advisor. Like, listen, to me, like I want to provide you enough value where you think that this is a lifetime relationship.
Right.
If I'm not providing you enough value and you go someplace else, that's on me, because obviously I did not fulfill my role as your trusted advisor when it comes to real estate, period. Right? If you do the same thing in fitness, not only do that you have someone who just returns over and over and over and over again, but hey, man, hey, Tommy, what's going on, man? Oh, dude, it's fucking past New Year's. I need to get back in the gym. You know what? I got a guy for you. Right? So now it's referrals. You have this guy who's your cheerleader.
Right.
100%. Like, dude, use my guy, right? My guy. That's my guy, right? I'm willing to share my guy, right? You're the guy for that specific thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think, in both of our industries, it's very much like that. People don't move into that trusted advisor role. They don't move into that like lifetime relationship building.
It takes time. I feel like it takes, I know, like on my Instagram and stuff for my friends, the working class guys that I have is like, you should train with me to fix that back pain. And they're like, they're out there doing manual. Exactly. They're not there yet. I tell them, I'm your guy. And I would joke, when you're 50 and you need to fix your shoulder, I want to give you guys, so I tell them what workouts to do. I'm working with my buddies, and I'm not just, you're not my client, I'm not going to talk to you. I try to give all of that info, so I am somebody's guy, like in that sense, where it's like, hey, I have this shoulder pain. I went to the doctor. I have a few buddies that they got back into snowboarding this year.
Right.
Yeah, and they gave me a couple text messages afterwards. One of them after he got hurt, and the other one after his knees started singing to him. And it's like, hey, what am I doing? Is there any exercise? And just, hey, yeah, try to do this. Here's a couple videos and stuff. And that's the thing. I'm not getting any money from those guys or anything, and I don't. That's fine. But I'm helping them move their needle in their way to maybe at one point they might go, man, hey, Justice, I need to jump on the session with you and like do this or that, or
let's
hey,
do a few sessions,
right? Or hey, what gym should I go to? And that's where
prevention.
They're not a, it's like they are technically a lead, but really it's just that's why I love my job, is because I'm just helping friends doing something I love.
Right.
It's like, yeah, do this exercise, or hey, do some of these. You want to jump on? You want to, I'm almost like, hey, can I come over and hang out and we, look at the knee or something?
I just thought of an idea is you should 100%, because every summer is hiking season, right? Hiking, camping, fishing season. August is pre-hunting season.
Yeah.
right? So you have all these hunters. And then, of course, November, December is pre-ski snowboard season.
Yeah.
Right? So if you marked a month before every single one of those seasons and taught an injury prevention class specific to
That's a good idea.
hiking, hunting,
Right, that's
skiing,
like, it's not right,
snowboarding,
'cause it's specific to our culture here in Alaska.
Yeah.
It would
Just
hit a target
teach a
market.
class. You'd have 3-4 classes a year just on injury
Oh,
prevention.
man, I'd love that. That's
And-
a great idea.
And probably the same people buying luxury products are also preparing and flying in and doing hunts
Mm-hmm.
and doing snowboarding and skiing trips and those
Well,
kind of things. So
no
I would
one-
think of similar market.
Yeah, and no one wants to start off the season, get injured, and then be out for the season.
Yeah, and even just I think that it's like even if my big thing is I love that informational. I love coming to the classes and doing some of the stuff that you put on. I like being a part of those. Back when I was at the gym, I just kind of decided I told the boss I'm like I'm going to teach a class, and he's like okay, and I was like I'm going to do it with my friend out there, and he's one of the trainers. He didn't even know it at the time, but I was like we're going to do a class together on like spine health, or I just
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
I just want to talk to people and do that.
Yeah.
And it is super motivating. I think that it pays for itself, and like the adrenaline and dopamine rush that you get from just talking to a group of people, giving them some info, and then of course the like engagement you get after that. Sure, you get a client or maybe you find someone join your emailer list or something, but really it's like, man, I'm able to do what I'm doing with one-on-one individuals and spread that out in kind of a bigger impact.
Yeah. Okay. We're about an hour.
Oh man.
So I know it goes quick. When
Yeah,
you're
it goes by quick.
Just shooting the shit.
Yeah. Guys time.
Yeah. So obviously, as we get close to the end of every episode, did you listen to a few of them?
I did.
So you know what our question is?
I didn't get all the way to the end. I kept going around
Okay.
and I kind of getting more of the intros and
You're
stuff.
unprepared.
So, yep, it is a surprise.
Karen came on and she was like, she had listened to like 10 of them.
She pulled out notes.
She told me to- she told me to
out.
prepare.
She
I actually
pulled
talked
out
with Karen.
notes. Anyways, so we always ask a question at the very end of the show, and every response is different. So don't feel like you have to have these gold nuggets.
Okay.
Okay. But that is, if you could give 5 tips or pieces of advice to a fellow entrepreneur or brand new business owner, what would those be?
First one, I think it just comes off the top of my head is start. That's one of the biggest things that I didn't do myself is I want to do this.
No one said that yet.
Good.
So I
You just
like
gotta-
that.
You just got to go for it.
Yeah.
I think, and like, if I was to make a second one, is like, don't be afraid to be the fool. That's something I stole from Jordan Peterson. But you're gonna suck. You're gonna trip over yourself. You're gonna say the wrong
that too.
thing. So
Yeah.
like, you got to start. You got to be willing, and those kind of go hand in hand. I think I'm gonna count them as 2. But
That's 2. I'm gonna count them as 2.
You got to like be willing to take that first step, and your
Okay.
first step is probably going to be falling, and then
Right.
be totally okay with being the fool or the joker. The third one I think I'm learning now is when you're starting off, it's like I got to do this on my own, but you can expand and you'll see the expansion in whatever you're doing when you can not only ask for help but find help. And okay, I want to hire this person, or hey, let me, for myself it's like, oh, let me find someone to help my website rather than me trying to. So asking for help, hiring somebody, those type of things. As soon as when you can start doing that, I think that then you start progressing your business faster. And that's kind of what we all want to do. If I'm having to do everything, I'm never going to be able to progress or anything. So let me think. New entrepreneurs.
3. So you got 2 more. Well, we're halfway there.
I think that this one kind of falls into my business too, is if you're spending 100% of your time on the business and you're letting yourself degrade away or fall or lose, you won't be able to sustain the business. So,
because you're the product.
Yeah, and this is where, maybe I'll be able to help you, but you got to be able to take care of yourself. You got to find your routine, and I think that's where, the busy entrepreneur, I'm going to work really well with them because, heck, I don't have that guy. He doesn't have a time to go to the gym and do all this.
Yeah.
Come to me, and again, that goes with point number 3 is like, okay, I need to hire out. I'm not getting to the gym like I want to. I'm not doing this like I want to. He's going to hire out. So again, is to be able to take care of yourself. May that be eating breakfast in the morning rather than, like myself, chugging a thing of coffee and then getting on my computer. My thing would saying like, okay, I actually probably need to sit down and get a breakfast or something.
Okay.
And then the last one, and this might sound a little corny, but like have fun with it. I think that's my thing, and that's why I'm so like I'm going to be doing this until I'm dead, or I'm going to either do something different. It's going to grow. I'm so confident in it. It's okay if I fail because I'm in the nature that it's not going to happen this year. It's not going to happen next year. It's going to happen. And I don't even want it to happen. It's just, it is happening right now.
Right.
I'm in the process, and I'm in it for the lifetime.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm not hoping, I'm doing.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
And if you get into something, you create a business that you don't enjoy, dude, you're going to get burnt out.
Yep.
So freaking quick.
Yeah. So
Like,
you got to start.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to trip. What was my third one? Got to have
Ask.
fun. Ask for help and keep yourself healthy. Self-care, whatever that is. It's not just lifting weights, but you got to, if you're doing a business, make
Mind
sure
and body.
Mind and body. You're taking care of yourself. And that last one, totally forgot what I just said, but that last one.
enjoy it.
Yeah, and enjoy the
Have fun.
process. Have fun with it.
He's like, yeah, that one.
that one. Yeah.
Those are good. I stand behind all those, man.
I
Good,
do.
yeah.
I do.
I really like that start. That's
And I'm sure I could find some good business tips, get your bank account situated and all this, get an LLC and stuff. But really those
Start is a big one.
Yeah, and I think that really is what came to my head is because, for so long I was working in the fitness industry and it's like, if I just did this on my
ask
own,
for help.
I can do
Yeah,
this. It's like,
it's a big one,
just
too.
do
Be
it.
okay with failing.
Yes.
You know?
Those first three I think are really good. Like
Yes.
the other two I'm kind of selling you on. Try to come hang out with
having
Justice
fun
Rowan.
is a critical piece, right? Like I was
All of them are good.
I was at a place before doing a very similar job, but I wasn't having fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, when I first came over, he's like, hey man, knock it off. You're way too serious. It's like,
Yeah. have some fun with it.
we had to work with Billy a little bit on okay, dude, we like
Smile.
Our unofficial motto of Aspire Realty Group is make real estate fun again.
Yeah.
Like that's our unofficial. Well, and we have fuck average be legendary on our conference wall.
Yep,
So
yep.
how many real estate teams have a podcast studio in their office? Probably
Right.
not a lot, but the idea is that you build a life that you don't need a break from.
Yes.
Because ultimately
Yep,
we're
love that.
in a position of servitude, right? We are working for these communities that we're so hoping to enrich, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're doing it for lifelong relationships. These are trusted advisor positions. It's not for a commission. It's so that I can go out in public and see you shine.
Yeah.
Right? That's
100%.
a beautiful thing because the people that are around you are the wealth.
That's
Yeah.
the true. Really, at the end of the day, relationships are the true wealth, right?
Yeah, and I think any position or job that you can have that you're building relationships and doing that is an awesome position to
I mean,
have.
think about it. You could have all the money and all the things and all the time in the world, but if you got nobody to share it with, it's not for shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel very thankful to be in the situation I am, even and be willing to kind of stumble over my own feet and figure it out.
Awesome. Those were 5 awesome things. I really
Thank you, guys.
appreciate your insight into the fitness world. It's an awesome conversation. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
It's always good
Just
to see you.
quick plug for you. So how can people get a hold of you?
So you can look me up on JGR Fitness Consulting, JGR Fitness Consulting and Training, and find me on Google. I have my website, jgrfitness.com. And then, of course, on social media, you type in Justice Roland, you'll find me, Facebook. And really, if you're wanting to talk about fitness or anything like that, give me a call, give me a text, and we'll sit down and talk.
Love it, man. Thanks for coming on, and we'll catch you guys later.